Transform your entire day by changing just one small detail. There's a detail in your daily routine so small that, because it seems insignificant, most people completely overlook it. A detail that doesn't require physical effort, money, special talent, or a complete overhaul of your life. And yet, this one detail has the power to completely transform how your day unfolds, how you react to situations, how you make decisions, and over time, how your life is shaped. You may have noticed that some days simply flow better than others, even when nothing extraordinary happens. And you've probably experienced days when everything feels heavy, stuck, and confusing, even without a clear reason. What separates those days isn't external events. It's this small internal detail that almost no one notices. As you listen now, I want you to do something simple but powerful. Mentally observe a typical day in your life, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Notice how you feel throughout the day. Notice when irritation, fatigue, anxiety, or lack of focus shows up. Also notice the moments when you feel more present, more confident, more productive. If you observe closely enough, you'll realize these states don't appear out of nowhere. They're a direct result of something very specific: how you move from one moment of your day to the next. Most people live in continuous mode, as if one moment automatically swallows the next. They wake up already thinking about what they need to fix, move from task to task without pause, without awareness, without choice, and end the day exhausted without really knowing why. The detail that changes everything is exactly what almost no one does, creating a small, conscious space between one moment and the next. An inner pause where you regain control before moving forward. That's the detail. Small, quiet, but absolutely transformative. People who seem to have more clarity, emotional balance, and consistency don't live easier days. They live more conscious ones. They don't allow one emotional state to automatically spill into the next moment. They know how to interrupt, reorganize, reposition, and that changes everything. You might be thinking this sounds too abstract. Stay with me, because in just a few minutes, this will become extremely clear and practical. And when it clicks, you'll realize you've always had this power, you were just never taught how to use it. The biggest illusion of modern life is believing our days are defined by events. In reality, they're defined by transitions. By how you leave one mental state and enter the next. By how you carry a difficult conversation into the task that follows. By how frustration bleeds into the rest of the day. By how a small setback ends up contaminating hours of your life. All of this happens because there's no conscious interruption point. Emotional states just keep stacking, like weight on top of weight, until you can't carry it anymore. Now imagine how different things would be if, throughout the day, you had the ability to internally reset, not by ignoring problems, but by refusing to let them define who you are in the next moment. Imagine leaving a difficult situation without dragging its emotional weight into what comes next. Imagine entering each activity with renewed presence. Imagine ending the day feeling like you actually lived rather than just survived. That's the power of this small detail that transforms the entire day. That detail is called a conscious pause. Not a long, formal, ritualistic pause, but seconds, breaths, awareness, intention, a micro adjustment that completely changes the flow of your day. People who are emotionally and mentally successful do this almost without realizing it. Between meetings, they take a deep breath and realign. After a tense conversation, they pause in silence for a few seconds before moving on. Before starting an important task, they center themselves. These small moments prevent the day from turning into an emotional avalanche. Now pay close attention, because here's a key turning point. You don't need to control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you enter the next moment, and whoever controls the entry controls the outcome. If you enter a conversation carrying tension, it usually gets worse. If you enter a task carrying distraction, it drags on. If you reach the end of the day carrying everything unresolved, rest never truly happens. But if you enter with awareness even when the moment is challenging you, stay grounded. The small detail that transforms your day is this: before any change in activity, environment, or interaction, take a few seconds for an internal pause and choose how you want to enter that moment. It's not about overthinking. It's about feeling and deciding. Breathe, release, reposition. It sounds simple. And it is. That's exactly why it's powerful. Because what's simple can be repeated. And what's repeated becomes identity. Now observe yourself more deeply. How many times a day do you move from one thing to another without even noticing? From bed to phone. From phone to shower. From shower to work. From work to a conversation. From one task to the next. All on autopilot. And it's in that autopilot mode that life is lived without presence. When presence disappears, exhaustion shows up, not physical exhaustion, but existential exhaustion. People aren't tired because they do too much. They're tired because they're not present in what they do, because they carry the past into the present and the present into the future all day long. This small detail breaks that cycle. Now imagine the long-term impact. One day lived with conscious pauses brings more clarity. 1 week brings more balance. 1 month brings higher productivity with less burnout. 1 year creates a completely different life. And this is where everything truly comes together. You don't need to change your entire life to change your experience of life. You only need to change how you move between moments. This is the quiet climax of transformation. Not a big event, not a dramatic decision, but a new way of living the present moment. You might wonder why this isn't taught more often. Because we live in a culture that glorifies constant action, speed, and urgency. Pausing feels like wasted time. But in reality, pausing saves energy, clears the mind, and improves decision-making. People who understand this don't need to rush, they move with intention. Understand this clearly. A conscious pause is not laziness. It's emotional intelligence. It's internal leadership. It's maturity. It's you saying, "I'm not a prisoner of external pace. I choose how I live this moment." And when you begin to live this way, something interesting happens. The world seems to slow down around you even if it doesn't actually change speed. Because you are in a different internal state. You're no longer being dragged along, you're present. This small detail changes how you work, communicate, relate, and rest. It improves your quality of life without requiring you to abandon everything you already do. It simply reorganizes how you show up. Before we finish, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful invitation. Tomorrow, throughout your day, consciously create these pauses. Before starting something new, stop for a few seconds, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, ask yourself internally, how do I choose to enter this moment? Then move forward with that intention. Do this when you wake up, before you work, before you speak, before you rest. You'll be surprised by the cumulative effect. And if this message resonated with you, if it shifted the way you see your days, I invite you to like this video, comment "I choose to live with presence," and subscribe to the channel for more content that helps you live with greater awareness, clarity, and balance. Your interaction supports this work and helps this message reach more people. So comment, subscribe, like, and remember, sometimes all it takes to transform your entire day is changing just one small detail.